Welcome back to another episode of the Colts Brawl podcast. I am your host, Michael Terrazas. Joined by me today is our social media manager today. Cody, unfortunately, couldn't make it in, but the show must go on. But we look forward to having Cody back really soon. So, joined by me, Justin Brawl. How you doing, Justin?
Good. Bowerly for all of you guys that want to know. But no worries. It's a very hard last name. I understand. I get it all the time. So I was looking forward to seeing how you were going to pronounce it.
Okay, well, I definitely destroyed it the first time. It was a big epic fail, man. And we've been, this is the first time you're actually joining us on the show. So, what are your thoughts? How you feeling?
I really like it. I'm working on like my own podcast here right now, just talking about sports in the NFL and NBA. So it's really cool to join and just talk about the team that I really love the most. I mean, on my other podcast, I try to not to make it a Colts podcast, and then we get sidetracked and start talking about all the different rookies that are coming in. I'm like, oh wait, time out, not a Colts podcast. So it's really good to actually talk Colts on a Colts podcast.
Yeah, man, it's always fun to talk Colts football, man. Before we get into anything football related, obviously we're gonna address what's been going on with the social injustice going on in this world today. I sent out a video. If you haven't watched it yet, I would appreciate it that all of you who haven't seen it go back and see it. I think it's a really good message about just how we need to get rid of racism, how we need to get rid of this idea that some ethnicities are higher than others, are more popular than others, whatever the case may be. I mean, there's a protest happening right now in my city right now, and I've looked on it on live on Instagram and Facebook, and for the most part, man, or for all the parts, it's been completely peaceful. They're making good points, so I'm proud of them going on there. We have to talk about this incredible video that the NFL players put together. Deshaun Watson, DeAndre Hopkins, Odell Beckham Jr., Ezekiel Elliott, all these guys, they came together for one purpose and one purpose only, and that's to uplift the Black community, address awareness. It's a very strong message. And I think that everyone shouldn't be so remissive to ignore it. I know Chris Ballard came out and look, man, he didn't say one thing about football. He showed a real side of himself that I love me some Chris Ballard I've never seen before. And I think he was completely honest. For all I know, he's been the first NFL general manager to come out and actually admit they were wrong and completely side with the players, side with his, Black players. And it just speaks everything about what the Colts franchise is and what they stand for. So, for Chris Ballard to make that publicly, to make that huge step, I mean, you just got to think he earned not just him, but the Colts. They earned so much respect. They did a great thing. Justin, where are you right now with where we are, and your thoughts on Chris Ballard and the players putting that video out?
I saw the video that came out yesterday. Or by the time everybody's listening to this, a couple days ago at this point. But I finally got a chance to actually listen to it and watch it, and I got to tell you, for a 2-minute video, it was very, very moving. I mean, I'm glad that all the players can come together and like, listen, guys, this is not okay. And the NFL is getting behind them. I think it's a couple years too late, unfortunately, but I'm glad the NFL is finally taking a stand. All the teams are coming together and listening to their players because can't fire all the players, not the best players in the league.
No, not at all. I know there's been some backlash for what Drew Brees has said. I completely, I think I understood what he was trying to say. It did come out wrong. What Shannon Sharp had to say in response to Drew Brees just made me understand so much about this. We all think that we have a pretty good understanding um, of what's going on, and I'll be real. I'm Mexican. I'm not black. I'm not feeling that sense of terror, horror when I get pulled over. I don't feel that. I'm nervous, but I don't feel that. I just pray and hope that no one has to feel that ever again, hopefully. But when Shannon Sharp goes on Undisputed and talks and really breaks down what Drew Brees said and attacked him for it, it just makes you understand so much, and you just grow, if you didn't have enough already, so much sympathy and courage to support this community that, if I'm being honest, it's just been wrongfully identified, criticized, everything. And for what cops do today, I saw a video the other day where it came to, it didn't have to be a cop killing someone, but they were just doing something so egregious, so unnecessary. Like someone has their hands behind their back, even though they're squirming. Why are you punching them? Why are you throwing your elbows in the back of their head? They're handcuffed. What are they going to do to you? You don't need your elbows. That's why you have a taser. That's why you have a pepper spray. That's why you have a baton. That's if you're that's the whole purpose of the department issuing you that equipment. But you don't want to use it. You either want to use your fist or your 9 millimeter. And I think that mindset needs to change. It has to change. Especially, I don't want to like bring her up or bring her down or anything like that, but when Jenny Taft came on Undisputed and she said that she thinks Tyreek Hill should be banned from the NFL for what he did, I love what Shannon Sharp did. He said, if that's where we're going to go with the black men, then police officers, doctors, lawyers, firemen, all those people should be held responsible. And I want to see that movement start. If an officer blatantly, violated their oath, they blatantly did something egregious like what we're seeing today, they are not allowed to get another job as a police officer. I still don't even know how some of these officers are still employed, even in my own city. Like, I've ran across police officers who are just downright, just, I'm not gonna say any bad words on here, but are just punks. Like, they have a badge so they can talk to you and treat you however you want to. Justin, where are you at? With all this, that I'm saying, I don't want to take too much time, but where are you at right now with all this going on?
I'm right there with you, man. This country, it's really hard for me to express this because I mean I am white. I'm a white man. So like I feel for you. I stand for you. I fight for you. I Race is such a touchy subject in this country, unfortunately. And I I can't even express how many nights over the last week or so I've gotten no sleep this week, unfortunately, and it's not just because oh I'm just not getting to sleep. I mean I actively think about this every night and how much it sucks. I mean, my wife and I have had several conversations about it, and like I've been in tears because of just how hateful some people can really be, unfortunately. And it's not every cop. I mean, and that's what a lot of people need to realize, is that it's not every cop out there. There are good cops, but unfortunately, it's there's so many more that are you can see actually out there. Um, I live in Lawrence, which is on the east side of Indianapolis, and I mean we're part of Live PD, and I had a chance to actually work with a lot of the police officers out here. They're good. I'm not gonna condemn them or anything. I mean, I don't actively see anything going on, but there's a lot of there's just a lot of bad cops out there, and I agree with you. They cannot be a police officer if they're gonna be the way they are. What happened to George Floyd is completely unacceptable, and what's going on in this country is completely unacceptable. And I'm glad that the country, the NFL, the NBA, everybody is finally taking a stand. Enough is enough. It's time to end this. It's time to move. It's time to be progressive. It's time to finally actually make change. And the world is at notice. The world is seeing it. I mean, you have protests in Paris today, people filling the streets, coronavirus or not, they are filling the streets in protest about social injustice and police brutality. Um, it's I'm glad the world is finally coming together about something, and it sucks it's in this situation, but I'm glad everybody's finally starting to stand up and fight for something.
Yeah, that's with all the changes they make to laws, with all the changes they make to, prison facilities, with all the changes they want to make to all this, I want to see them make some changes in the in the, the police force.
I
In
agree.
the I want to see them actually put their hand in that and address what's really important instead of the government getting their money. We're gonna go ahead and leave it at that.
Before we move on, real quick,
Okay.
I'd feel bad if I didn't promote this a little bit here. If anybody has not seen on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, the Brawl Network is selling social injustice T-shirts. They on the back of it, it says "Unite Together and Change the World Forever." And in the middle of the shirt is just a picture of the world with a lot of the names. Unfortunately, I mean, it's not everybody's name, but it's got a lot of different names that have, I mean, wrongfully died from police brutality. 50% of the proceeds are going straight to the George Floyd um, GoFundMe account, the official one, and then also some of our senior executives for the Brawl Network and the T-shirt designer are also donating proceeds and some of their own money to this cause. So if you haven't taken a look at it, go to any of our social media accounts, check it out, and I mean, buy one. I bought one today. It's a really cool looking shirt. Each of the letters actually has a different. It's got the font and the colors from each of the teams, all 32 NFL teams. So it's really cool to see that everybody's just. I mean, even in the NFL, they're all uniting. So go out, get this shirt, support, um, and yeah, that's all I got for that.
All right. Well, good stuff. Make sure y'all check out those shirts and make sure again, guys, y'all are treating everybody with kindness, man. It's just I don't get the ignorance of looking at someone's skin color and saying I don't like them. But just make sure y'all just have a good heart, man. Make sure y'all are saying nice things to people, all right? So moving on to some football now here in the show. We're actually going to talk about, a possibly the weakest position on the Colts football team, which is in the secondary. Justin, we've seen some movement in the secondary, probably the position that's seen the most movement, but somehow it's the weakest position. So let's break it down. You enter into the offseason potentially needing another corner, possibly a backup safety. The Colts cut Pierre Desir, who was a pretty good player, but this year he had some injury problems. They go out and sign Xavier Rhodes, who himself has had injury problems, but there's that connection between him and the Colts' current corner coach. You go out and get him. You go out and sign a TJ Carey. Then you go in the draft and draft Isaiah Rodgers, who I think is a pretty good corner who was selected with, good value. Then you're looking at the safety position. There was a thought that Malik Hooker could get traded. And we all kept thinking, well, maybe there's a backup strong safety in there for Kari Willis since George Odom is behind Malik Hooker. Well, Chris Ballard went out and got another free safety in Julian Blackmon from Utah. And now we get into why is this group potentially the weakest? Well, we expect Rock Ya-Sin to do some good things. We expect Kenny Moore to do some good things. Kari Willis, he's going to ball out. But after those guys, there's a lot of question marks. How far can Marvell Tell stride in his development? TJ Carey, is he going to be a meaningful player or is he just a camp body? Xavier Rhodes, is that hip going to heal up? Is his speed going to get back, to where it needed to be? Because playing the corner position, you have to be freakishly athletic. And if you don't have that hip, oh yeah, Xavier Rhodes is going to cost the Colts a lot of points this year. Then you look at the secondary. Malik Hooker, he's been off and on with the Colts. As much as we don't want to admit it, he has. I know some of you are going to say, oh, well, quarterbacks aren't testing him. Well, in the latter half of the season, I saw a lot of quarterbacks testing him. And he got beat a lot of times. So now I think George Odom I think he's a good, strong backup. Julian Blackmon, there's the ACL. We don't know where he's going to be. Justin, where do you see this position? How can it be good? I want to ask you a two-part question. How can it be good, but also how can it be bad?
I feel like this is a loaded question, Michael. Let's first address why it's the weakest position on the team. We've got a solid quarterback room. We've got a very good running back room. We've got a great wide receiver room, great offensive line. Our defensive line is finally settling in. Our linebackers I feel like Okereke is about to have a breakout year. Anthony Walker is pretty good too. Darius Leonard, we all know him. He's potentially an MVP candidate. That leaves our secondary. So obviously there's got to be a bad part of our team. And this is obviously the bad part of the team. As far as how they can be good, Rock Ya-Sin's got to just come in. There can't be a sophomore slump. He kind of had a couple bad games there for a minute, but he kind of picked it up at the end of the season. Kenny Moore, he's been stellar. Since he's been on the team, he's finally stepping in. I would really like to see him become that true number one or even a number two corner. He's pretty much played in that nickel corner position and was the highest paid nickel corner in the league. No more, since he's not really playing that position anymore. But I'd be really, really curious to see what not only the veteran leadership, but the veteran play of Xavier Rhodes and TJ Carey brings. They've been in the league for a while. They're the oldest ones in the secondary. So what they bring to the team coming in on subbing in, or even hopefully maybe starting, we'll see what happens there. But I think Rock Ya-Sin and Kenny Moore are locked in on those two positions. So what they can do potentially as veteran leaders, kind of developing this young core of secondary, I hope there's a lot there. As far as Kari Willis and Malik Hooker, I think Kari's job is safe. He can't play like that though. We've got younger guys out there too, right there along with him. Roland Milligan and George Odom, like you said, they're also young, so they could easily jump in there if they need to. And I think Julian Blackmon, yes, he's got the ACL injury. I'm hoping he can come back and just be stellar. You never know, unfortunately, with ACL injuries. Now more so than ever, people have been coming back and been just fine though. So I could see Malik Hooker this is a really a prove it year for him. They didn't pick up his option. They're telling him, look, you're not on the team after this year, so prove it. And I mean, at the end of the season, if you're not that good, if you don't prove it, then I mean you're not with us anymore. So you'll be a free agent. So I really want to see how Malik Hooker really steps up. I mean, former first round, he should be the leader of our secondary. So let's see how he reacts. I thought it was really telling of him though. I don't know where his mind's at when it was announced that we're not picking up his option, and he deleted every single picture off of social media. Every picture. So there's no pictures of him as in a Colt uniform on it. I mean, on his Instagram, and that's not necessarily the greatest sign. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens when Julian Blackman comes back in. Does he take over for Malik Hooker, who might be injured, who might be struggling? We don't know. So as far as I think your questions were, how can they be really good and how can they be really bad? They could be really good by Xavier Rhodes and DJ Carey really lifting up that secondary and really teaching them how to be good. They could be really bad by, just them not gelling right. We not having the right people in there, not having the right chemistry, not looking over each other's shoulders, not covering for each other. So we'll see what happens here. I'm hoping they're good this year, but I mean, this has been a consistent issue for the Colts team for a very long time.
Yeah, man. When it came to the secondary, we've been trying to find that number one guy for quite some time now, and it didn't go well with Vontae Davis. It didn't go well with quite a few guys. Quincy Wilson, Pierre Desir, and hopefully, Rocky Sin, Kenny Moore, they can form a good tandem. Now, getting into the season, this will probably be the last, segment for today. Getting into the season, we're actually going to give some predictions on the first two games of the season, actually. So, Justin, why don't I go ahead and pass it on to you for week one?
So week one, we are going to Jacksonville, who, they sent Nick Foles out. They picked up a couple pieces in the draft, but nothing like super notable. Laviska Shenault is actually one of my picks to have like a really great season, but I mean he's going to be a slot wide receiver this year. But how dynamic he is, along with Gardner Minshew, will be great because Gardner Minshew typically throws passes between like behind the line to 9 yards, and that's where Shenault comes in because he can actually like make plays after catching the ball. Where I say, I honestly, this is going to be a Colts win for me. I think we start the year off strong. Started off 1-0 on the road. And just beat the Jaguars. I don't think the Jaguars are going to have a great year this year. I'm thinking 3-13 for them, 4-12 at best. But I think we start off strong and we beat them.
Yeah, I'm thinking, Jacksonville's going to be picking at number one next year. So no one's expecting anything from Jacksonville. They blew it up. They traded. They let guys go. They still don't know what they want to do with Yannick Ngakoue, which they are just holding him hostage. I really hate the way they are treating him right now. So yeah, I'm gonna be with you. I'm going to mark that down as a win for the Colts. I just don't see the Jacksonville Jaguars doing anything. I see their offense maybe being better than their defense. I don't even know what they're gonna do at running back, wide receivers. I mean, they're okay. Laviska Shenault doesn't really surprise me. He doesn't really, I marked him off during the draft. I marked him off. I didn't want him. So something about him, man, it just, I just don't like it. D.D. Westbrook, the nothing on the Jaguars scares me. So I'm going with a win for this one. Oh, okay, that's weird. I don't know why that technical difficulties right now, guys. I don't know why the mic just went on mute. But anyways, as I was saying, moving on to week 2 for right now, we're at home against the Minnesota Vikings. And this is going to be a really intriguing matchup. You got a pretty good football team. You know, the Vikings, I have some respect for the Vikings. Mike Zimmer, Kirk Cousins, they got Justin Jefferson. Jeff Gladney is joining them in the secondary. Oh man, this is one of those big games where you just see the Colts, you envision 4 months before the actual game, you envision it. You want the Colts to win. They're going to make it competitive. They're going to look like they're going to win the game, and then they somehow have a miss up and lose the game. I said it a few weeks ago on my podcast. My record for this team, right now it stands at 9-7. When it comes to the Colts, they are so talented, and if anything legitimized this, it's 2019. They are so much better than how they play. They play up to their opponents and then they play down to their opponents. They go to Kansas City and manhandle them, and then they come back and embarrassingly lose to the Miami Dolphins. But before that, they lost to the Oakland Raiders. When it comes to this team, I'm at the point to where I'm done hyping them up. I'm done, saying Super Bowl, Super Bowl. I'm done. They need to prove it. They need to show it to me. And I'm going to be hard on them this offseason. So right now, I'm going to say week 2 is a loss.
See, I've been really I've been back and forth on this specific game because of our first 7 games up until the Ravens in week 9. This is our hardest game. I mean, this is going to be our hardest matchup. If you go back, or if you go down the list, you got Jaguars, Vikings, Jets, Bears, Browns, Bengals, and Lions, and then the Ravens. And there's a bye week in there too.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, there's potential that the Colts could start off 6-0 and go into the bye week. And just like you said, there's also potential of them starting 3-3. So it's very, very intriguing. I agree with you there. Being the home opener, this is Philip Rivers' first game in a Colts uniform at Lucas Oil Stadium with the crowd. Everybody, hopefully, if we're allowed to go to games, is going to be pumped up. You're talking Michael Pittman Jr.'s first game in the Colts or in the home blue. You're talking Jonathan Taylor's first game in the home blue. I could see this really going any way. Yeah, I agree here. I could see us going back and forth through 3 quarters, 4th quarter, and then we lose it. However, I think this is a game where Kirk Cousins doesn't pull it out. I think this is a game where all of the cards just play right for us all 4 quarters, and we were prepared for this.
Mm-hmm.
And I see this actually as a win. I've got them winning this game. You say the Colts, you've got them at 9-7 right now. I've been pretty harsh on them too. I've been anywhere from 10-6 all the way to 13-3. And the last time I really truly looked at their schedule, I took them at 13-3. This is one of my wins for them. Very helpful. Been a fan for way too long. I know they're going to disappoint me at some point, and I bet you they disappoint me here right off the bat and go 1-1.
See that's the thing. They said last year's schedule was easy, and still look how it turned out.
Mm-hmm.
We lost to the freaking Buccaneers.
Well, we also had Brian Hoyer playing, so
I mean, Brian Hoyer wasn't playing in that game. He was playing in
the
Dolphins game. Even still, Brian Hoyer should have beat the Dolphins. There was no running game to speak of. The defense could not keep Ryan Fitzpatrick off the field. I mean, for some reason, I don't know what it is about this team. They are supposed to win, but they lose for the silliest things. Turnovers, penalties, lack of defense, lack of offense, coaching decision, whatever it is. They lose a game they're supposed to win. In Pittsburgh, They should have won that game. They didn't. Had an injury and you had turnovers. Miami, that should have been the easiest one. Nope, didn't do that. Should have beat Oakland. They're trash. Didn't do that. You struggled to beat a horrible Atlanta team. You struggled to, you lost to the dang Jaguars. You got manhandled by the Jaguars. We're supposed to have the best offensive line in football, and we got manhandled. I mean, I don't know what it is. I really don't. Like, man, now I'm getting myself worked up already, and it's the off season. But man,
Perfect.
that always happens. I don't know why they play down to their opponent, but they play up to the toughest teams. I don't understand it, man.
It's, I mean, I've been a Colts fan for so long that I had to listen to them on the radio. We couldn't watch them on TV because we didn't sell tickets. So I fully I get that, man. So yeah, it's just one of those, like, we play hard against the hard teams and we let the easy games go by, and that's just been the franchise's history. I'm hoping with all the additions we made over the offseason, we do a lot better, but we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, Justin, do you have anything else?
Do you want to talk a little bit about the All-Decade team a little bit?
Yes, let's go ahead and do that.
All right. I'm not entirely sure where you guys left off. I think you guys left off at tight end. You guys talked about Jack Doyle, right?
Yep.
And did you talk about Dallas Clark?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So I'm pretty sure you talked about Anthony Costanzo too. I'm really having a hard time remembering who you guys talked about. However, just to break down the entire offensive line here, left tackle, the fans voted for Anthony Costanzo. Left guard, Quentin Nelson. No surprise there. Center, Ryan Kelly. The right guard, Joe Wright, which actually intrigued me. He took that one. And then Braden Smith at right tackle. So, I mean, you've got 4 current guys, and I think that's fair. I mean, this is the best line we've had in a decade or two. So it makes sense that those guys made it. My question here for you, Michael, is what do you think about Joe Wright making that All-Decade team?
Well, we haven't had good linemen for a long time, so it's really easy to find answers at these positions. Anthony Costanzo, lock. I think I'm actually a little surprised. Jeff Saturday, Ryan Kelly. I honestly don't know who I would have gone with there. Overall, I think I might have gone with Jeff Saturday. He was really good, man.
That's very fair. I mean, Jeff Saturday, that was probably one of our closest races. Ryan Kelly won with 53.7%. Jeff Saturday had 44.4. So,
Yeah.
I mean, a couple more votes, and that could have literally turned the tide. That was quite interesting. And if you go into this, I mean, Joe Wright's actually kind of blew out at the right guard position, 79% of the votes. And then let's see, Brandon Smith. I mean, he kind of beat out Haig by a lot, 87% of the votes. So the offensive line really wasn't that competitive. I mean, the closest one was that Ryan Kelly, Jeff Saturday matchup.
I mean, if I'm being honest, Joe Haig was probably a better right guard than Joe Wright. If I'm being honest. I mean, remember, Joe Haig he had some suitors this offseason.
Yeah.
And he was a pretty good lineman, and he's going to show what he's got in Tampa Bay starting at right tackle. So, spotlight's going to be on Tampa Bay this year. We're going to see what he has. But that's, offensive line one, man, that's pretty good.
Yeah. And then moving on here, we voted for our defensive ends, both the left and the right defensive end. I don't think this shocked anybody. Actually, a lot of people thought we were joking with them. Robert Mathis. Yeah, Robert Mathis clearly took the left defensive end, and Dwight Freeney clearly took the right defensive end. I mean, these are two, future Hall of Famers. There's no.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, no doubt. Even only technically playing. I mean, Dwight Freeney only played until 2011 at that position, and same with Robert Mathis. Everybody forgets in 2012 they transitioned to being linebackers in Chuck Pagano's new 3-4 system, so they were no longer defensive ends at that point, and that's when they brought in Corey Reddy and other guys. So be prepared to see Robert Mathis in the outside linebacker position battles as well. Robert Mathis could be our only 2-time All-Pro on this list.
Yeah, I mean that's nothing. There's nothing else. I mean, Eric Walden, Trent Cole. I mean, who else are you gonna take? I mean,
Yeah, at outside linebacker, we're looking at Philip Wheeler, Jarrell Freeman, Darius Leonard, Robert Mathis, Bobby Okereke.
Sure as hell not Bjorn Werner. I mean,
Yeah,
that
no,
was just
no,
a
I'm not even
complete.
considering it.
That was a complete crap show, man. Yeah, Dwight Freeney, Robert Mathis, and nothing else to say. They're great, amazing players, future automatic Hall of Famers. Let's move on.
Yep. So we just talked a little bit about what's coming up for the outside linebackers. I'm just gonna run down for everybody to listen so they can fully hear what's coming up. Middle linebacker, there's a choice of Gary Brackett, DeQuell Jackson, Anthony Walker. I feel like that's gonna be a wash your hands. We're done with that one. But the corner position, this one's a little interesting because you got Vontae Davis, Gerard Powers, Rashawn Melvin, Kenny Moore, and Pierre Desir. And you got two spots there. I could tell you who I'm going to predict here, but you never know what the fans are going to do. I've voted several times against the person that didn't actually win. Free safety, we've got Antoine Bethea, Clayton Geathers, and Malik Hooker. Strong safety is Mike Adams versus Matthias Farley. And then, I had to throw Chase McLaughlin into the kicker race, even though he only played 5 games, but I couldn't just put Adam Vinatieri. You got to vote for somebody. And then the punter is either Pat McAfee or Rigoberto Sanchez. So
Okay.
we've got some good battles coming up here, and then we've got a lot of people that are just like, why is this even a question?
So at linebacker, I'm gonna go ahead and go Darius Leonard, obviously. For the safety, Justin, I think when it comes to strong safety, dude, I'm going with Clayton Gathers because that was his position. That was his strong suit playing in the box. He wasn't the strongest in cover space. So I'm gonna go with Clayton Gathers at strong safety. And free safety, oh man, we haven't had that many safeties here. I think. Look, I like Malik Hooker. He's missed some big games for the Colts, being injured. Uh, Man, I can't remember what year did Antoine Bethea leave the Colts. It was like 2013 or 14.
It was, oh boy, he definitely played here when Luck was here. He
Yeah,
was 2013. This was last year when he went to San Francisco after that.
and Malik Hooker wasn't. Nah, he was drafted a little
He was
bit
like
after.
17, yeah. I
Let
really
me.
think that they could take this spot. I mean, he was more consistent.
I think I'm gonna go with Malik Hooker. He's been here longer. He's shown some good stuff. Oh man, yeah, I think I'm gonna
Tough,
go with
tough
Malik
one.
Hooker.
Well, let's see what the fans do say. Again, check out the Twitter polls at Colts Brawl to vote on each position. We post a new position each and every day. So be sure to do that so we can get the full all-decade team and get as many people in there voting for who they think should be in there.
All right. Well, do you have anything else, Justin?
That's it. The only thing I can do is plug social media more. I mean, I would be remiss if I did not plug the thing that I do the most on this network, on this podcast. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at Colts Brawl. And just, like, subscribe to our podcast, keep listening, share it with your friends, do all that fun stuff on social media that, you already do anyway.
All right. Well, he is Justin Bowerly.
Hey, you got it.
Justin Bowerly. I was gonna say Brawl again, but he is Justin Bowerly. I am Michael Terrazas. Thank you again, guys, for tuning in for another episode of the Colts Brawl. Y'all stay safe and y'all stay blessed.